everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses as we kick off another week here at Aqueduct. Sarah Albadwi and Andy Sterling, and we got a glimpse of the turf courses during the changes, and the tarps are off.
I know, exciting. Building up to that 420 momentum. Can you hardly wait?
I am excited about turf racing coming. I was looking at the nominees for the two stakes, the Danger's Hour and the Plenty of Grace, coming up. A Rokeby horse, Danger's Hour, a glowing tribute, and I don't know if it's Darby Danner Phillips for Plenty of Grace, but it's from that family. You see so many horses. It's probably the similar families that Memories of Silver and so many are in anyway. I think that was a horse that was trained by John Veach, I want to say, Plenty of Grace. Anyhow, we are getting closer to it, and we have an 8-race card to kick off today's week. No carryover in the Pick 6. Head over to NYRA Bets. If you're not a member of NYRA Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code BONUS200 and we will match the $200 of your initial deposit. You can check out Track Stats when you're over there. And also while you're over there, after you've checked out Track Stats, or even before, you'll want to opt in if you're playing Keeneland today. And they are, I'm assuming they're sloppying off this. They are sloppying off the turf again. $100 or more on Aqueduct and Keeneland. You get $20 back, win or lose. Yeah, I think today is the last day. They're supposed to have a lot of rain there. You know, they have their big turf stakes this weekend. I'm sure they'll leave the grade ones on, some sprint stakes as well, but they've had their share of rain. Tough place when the weather's not nice. It looked absolutely empty there. Yesterday I was watching a little bit during the afternoon. We have America's Day at the Races. 1 to 5:30 today. There's no, Oaklawn is back to a Friday to Sunday schedule, so just Aqueduct on today's show. And we'll start out the first race with maidens going a mile, and I'm not sure what you did here, but I went to Malerchuck on top of the two, and you did too. The two on the outside, we'll take a look at Malerchuck's last race back in December, getting beaten at 1 1/8 miles.
I mean, it's just that this is a horse that's finished ahead of Quando, who does seem like the other, or he's beaten horses that have he's finished ahead of horses that Quando has not, is what I'm trying to say. It's that he has been able to defeat some of those horses that Quando has not been able to get past. And while these do seem like the likeliest winners of this race, I like that he's cutting back slightly in distance from the 1 1/8 miles. I like that he was forward last time. And I like the field that he's coming out of as well. We've seen those horses go on to do pretty good things. Society Man, Eliminate as well.
Yeah, I don't have a particularly strong opinion. It was a track that was kind to speed last time on Malerchuck. I don't really have a big opinion between the two. I mean, the one thing about Quando is we show Quando's second race, losing to Reasoned Analysis, who came back and won our Bayshore. It is his only dry track race, the race we're looking at, and it does feel as though his one dry track race was superior to his wet track races, and he easily handled the other horses in the race. And like we said, the horse who beat him came back with a big win in a subsequent start. I don't have a strong opinion, to be honest with you. I figure one of these two will probably win. I know nothing about the first or Sequential, who
There's a little pedigree.
Yeah, no, it's a half to preamble, who was okay. The dam herself ran numbers the 9. The dam was a Ken McPeak horse, I believe, beautician. And
ran second to Hot Dixie Chick in the Schuylerville and the Spinaway.
Yeah, Hot Dixie Chick, I think, won by a pole in those races, right? I don't know anything about the firster. Maybe the firster can run, but I thought both the horses, the 5 and 6, ran well enough, and they're going a mile, that if they don't show up, I guess it's possible, but Sequential will have to run a respectable number, probably in the mid to high 70s, to win a race like that, which is not an easy thing to do for a first-time starter.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's not impossible, but I felt as though I liked what I saw enough from the two outside horses and what they had done in their starts so far to side with them rather than the unknown.
They will be the two substantial favorite choices by post time. Race number 2, we will start with Market Alert and Amundsen, and this is a race 2 back for Amundsen, and Market Alert getting it done. I'm not huge fans of either one of these horses. I think Amundsen's best races are behind him. Maybe he'll run better, but it just seems like his form hasn't that good. And he really probably should have beaten Market Alert in this day. He got the clean run. Market Alert got a good trip, but he had to wait. And I feel like both of these were sort of last time, or this one was last time was the time. I prefer Market Alert, but I've just had enough of Amundsen, a horse I've always liked. I just wonder if he's not really capable of his good races anymore.
Yeah, I agree. It seems as though he's really tailed off from the better efforts that we'd seen, and I liked when he was a horse that would be a little bit more forward. He just hasn't had that same ability as of late, and I never like to see, especially at these lower levels, when horses don't have that same forward position that they used to. So I wasn't really interested in him. Market alert, he's in really good form right now as he changes barns again. But at the same time, as you said, he got the perfect split going between horses. Even though he did have to wait for room in that race, he got to save ground and get the right kind of trip as everything opened up for him. And the horse that I went to is actually out of that race as well. But he was one that he had trouble earlier on in that race. He was steadied back a little bit and out of position in Bronx Bomber. And he's the one that had to go make that wider first move ahead of both Amundsen and Market Alert and flattened out late. And I like him now coming into this spot. I don't know if the 7 is really necessarily what he wants to do, but I think that he could be more aggressively handled like he was when Manny Franco was on a couple starts ago and possibly be the one in front in here.
Well, be in front early. He won't be in front late, but he'll be in front early. He's a little tough horse to take, isn't he, Bronx Bomber? I mean, when's the last time he really ran a race that made him that competitive? He caught a speed track on February 4th where he ran that good number, which I don't even think is going to be good enough to win here. He is a horse that can only win in the front end, and I don't disagree. He should be forward in this race, but where's his races that make him a winner in this race?
I feel as though while he was with the racetrack last time, it's not like he was ever right on the rail. I know that that was a day where you did want to be inside, and he was, but he was never actually right against the rail. And then when you go back to the 12th of January, that was a day where the rail was dead, and he was on the rail earlier on in there behind 2 horses that had that anomaly performance. One of them we're taking a look at here in Big Engine, as well as Chuck Willis. And so looking at his last 3 starts and the lack of position that he had early on in that last race, I think that he might look a little bit better than it seems.
We'll have to agree to disagree. I thought he had absolutely no chance whatsoever today. I know Prince of Pharos is a favorite in this race, and I think that maybe going 7 as opposed to a mile will help him. He was running against much better horses in a race that kind of came apart last time out. He should be stalking the speed of Bronx Bomber. He's just a better horse, in my opinion, and I just thought he was very logical dropping. I didn't have a big opinion. I didn't like that many horses in here. I don't have an argument against Big Engine. I think he's okay. I think that the pace may not be particularly in his favor. I think it's more in Prince of Pharos. We'll have to agree to disagree in race number 2. Third race, I'm not going to try to be clever in this race. Giants Fire is just dropping down, and I don't see why I'm supposed to bet against this horse. There's just every race he runs seems to be better pretty much than everybody in this field. And
wasn't his last race finishing 4th against a much, much tougher group still a pretty good effort as well off that long layoff? I mean, he was making a wide, sustained run and running numbers that are just faster than pretty much everybody, even on their best days. So I couldn't try to beat him in this spot, and I didn't really see a huge case for anybody else outside of him. He's just way the horse to beat.
I agree. I hate to sort of keep landing on short-priced horses, but I'm not going to go against them just to take shots. I mean, horses are going to take money behind them. Horses like Good Reunion and Sin Nombre, and we'll take a look at them dead heating. Last time out for Good Reunion and 2 back for Sin Nombre. And I will say Sin Nombre ran a little better last time, but even so, it just feels as though their races are good enough to beat Giants Fire. And I guess if you want to take the one horse that's capable of running races that are competitive with Giants Fire, it's Excellent Man. If you can figure out David Jacobson, you're a far smarter person than I am, though I just believe that he's a Jackson Pollock painting where it's just a bunch of random stuff being thrown against a wall, and occasionally they run, and all he did last time was find a terrible field to beat with a 59 Beyer, and it just seemed like his form had completely left him in his last 3 races, but it is David Jacobson. Maybe suddenly he'll run, back to one of his best races, and that best race is the race that gives him a chance to win, which is why I have him second, and I'm assuming similar reasons you have him second.
Exactly. I mean, if you look at his race where he has that crazy trip at Laurel second time out and still finishes second, and even the race after that, both of those could be competitive, at least somewhat here, if you think that Giants Fire isn't going to show up on this drop down. But I do agree with you, over his last couple of starts, he was not doing very well and then dropped into a very easy spot at Laurel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a question of Giants Fire not showing up. Jackson Man has the races where if Giants Fire runs his race, he has races that could make him competitive. It's a crapshoot whether or not he's going to run them, but I guess it's not impossible. Race number 4, I mean, most of us were not trying to beat Capote to begin with. You are. I'm not, and with the scratches, his life got so much easier.
Yes,
we'll go back to January 1st. And, I'm not really sure there must be some physical issue that's kept this horse dropping, because he caught a dead rail 2 races back, and then for some reason they tried to run him a mile and a 16th at Laurel in his next start. So I'm not sure there's anything really wrong with his form, more or less just being in situations which were not helpful to him at all. But when you throw in the big drop down, maybe there's a physical issue that's preventing him from running, and they want to get rid of him. But he's going to lose. I'm going to lose with him. I'm not trying to beat him in this race. I can understand trying to take a shot with him.
You're dealing with a smart outfit that's tried to stretch him out and then is making this gigantic drop in class with him. Don't you at least have to be a little bit nervous about that?
Yeah, I agree. But I just don't. There's nobody else I want to play in this race particularly. I mean, no trouble. I have a stat for Bruce Levine. For what it's worth, off 250-plus day layoffs, his numbers, it's the smallest sample size, and he's a horse that has form that can make him competitive. I just don't trust this horse coming back off the layoff for Bruce.
Right, exactly. And you also have a situation where you're dealing with a horse that was claimed from the David Jacobson barn, so it's tough to trust whatever form he had prior to that as well.
Well, also, for me, the bigger problem is, and I don't disagree with that, but this horse has now been off a year since being claimed from David, and that concerns me. What is it that was going on with this horse?
It's not like they're coming back in a tough
his
spot.
His form was declining, but his form was declining as well. And they're running him cheaper, so they're not running for a waiver a little bit higher. They could have run for a quarter and run for a waiver. What was going on with this horse is his form is declining, and they claimed from Jacobson that kept him back to the races for a year. Tell me what I'm missing with Hatch.
I mean, he's so tough to trust, but if you look at the spot that he was in last time, it was just so unrealistic for his level of ability. The outside paths were a little bit more preferable as the day progressed. He was held tightly at the rail and never really got the chance to do much rallying behind better horses.
Well, he got off the rail. Hang on.
He did eventually, but that was a much better group than this.
I agree.
And when you look 2 back, his non-winners of 3, the pace was honest that day, but it's not as though he was that far off of it. He was stalking in 3rd, not too far out of things early. I don't know if he's more of that 75, 80 buyer kind of horse, or if he's just an average mid-60s kind of horse.
I think he's the latter.
He's done both, but I think that this is a better spot for him, certainly than last time, and potentially even before that. So I think that at a price, I wanted to give him another opportunity as a horse that would at least be up close.
Okay. I think Kleb Labine is the other horse. I'm not, once again, I never know what to do with Jacobson horses, but this horse just lost all chance of the start. He's the number 2 in this race last time out, and it was also a race that was dominated up front, broke slowly, got stayed back, and he ends up 100 lengths behind before doing some running towards the end of the race. And I thought he was the way I would go. He had no chance after the start, and he wasn't going to win this race anyway. Could he have been second? Possibly without that break. He would have been second, I'm sure. So I thought I'd use him as my other horse here, getting another chance at 16, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to beat Capone. I know he's a big favorite, and I agree. He is being dropped, and you have to wonder why, but I think he's going to the front, and I believe he's going to win at a short price, and I just don't want to invest a lot against him. Okay. That's first 4. We'll be back with the late pick 4 after a quick break.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
Welcome back to Talking Horses. A friend of mine just texted me to let me know that OJ died. I take the approach of David Letterman, who said, I'm not interested in joking about double murderers. Race number 5. Race number 5, I don't have anything clever to say about this race, but boy, I can't wait to hear what you're going to tell me that Solo Ride has a chance here.
Look, this is just a horse that's taking a drop in class, and while he clearly has not shown much in any of his 3 starts so far, he broke slow first time out turf sprinting. He was in last early. That's not where you can do really any effective running whatsoever. Then on the 14th of October, he caught a wet track. He drew the rail. It may have been a day that you wanted to be a little bit further off the rail, and the race was won by a horse who broke away from the far outside. And he made a little bit of a middle move, spending a lot of time right on the rail that day. And then in his last start, he was eased. So I don't know what sort of ability or lack of ability
Well, there's some hints.
this horse has, but he's getting a lot of changes now. He's getting Lasix for the first time. He's dropping in for a tag. He's returning to the dirt. And it just clearly seems as though something went wrong last time, that he is not going to necessarily be that kind of maiden special weight horse, and they're just being realistic about where he belongs.
Well, he's going to a surface that David Donk never wanted to run him on. So I think that should be noted. He's never done any running. I have no idea. He's 100 to 1. I just think that Within View is supposed to be the speed in this race, is dropping down. I thought ran fine first time out, but braking a little slow. Last time out was running against significantly better horses. Dropping down, I know he's going to be a big favorite in here, but I don't see any reason to try to beat him because I don't see the other horses I'm supposed to really like. I guess Compute It's not impossible. He seems like he's run okay. I suppose Ring Me dropping down a little bit. But to me, Within View goes to the front in this race. I don't know if he'll be 2 to 1, but I just think he's way, way, way the horse to beat in here, and I didn't see any reason to try to pick against him.
Do you think that they'll try different tactics than they tried last time with Compute It, where they did try to wrangle him back into last, a horse that had shown more speed in the past, could be more forward, realizing last time that that did not work out for them? Don't you think they'll try to be more forward today?
Well, yeah, he'll probably be sitting second or third in this race. I don't really think he's fast enough to go on some kind of send where he's supposed to get in the way of Within View. I mean, this is a situation, getting a fast track for the first time, where Within View is just supposed to go. He's just been running in races that have had faster paces, and he's supposed to be forward in this race. Who knows? I don't really know what kind of tactics. I've given up trying to guess what kind of tactics trainers and riders are going to use because there's a randomness to it. I just kind of assume he's the best horse, and Ray's a trainer that likes to be aggressive with his horses, and when you have the best horse in the race and the potential to be in front, why would you take it away from him? But I guess anything's really possible. Race number 6. Either race number 6 might be probably one of the more interesting races today. Whether or not I have clever ideas in here remains to be seen. I thought I'd start with Snappin' Buttons, who's the morning line favorite, because he did run well first time out. He also beat, and I wanted to show the start because he did not break in this race, and he just ends up destroying the field. On the other hand, man, did he find the right field to run against. I mean, this was an absolutely atrocious field that he beat. And I just feel like there's more going on in here. And as the favorite, he didn't get out first time out. I feel like I'd rather take somebody else. On the other hand, I don't think you could be surprised if this horse wins.
No, I mean, this was an impressive effort after the slow start, but this horse was bet like she was supposed to do some running and kind of destroy this field in the sort of manner that she did in here, and this was more of an outside flow track day, so I think breaking slowly and going towards the outside may have actually been slightly beneficial for this horse as well, even though she does angle over after the race is all over and there, and I just wanted horses that had had a little bit more experience than this one, who, like you said, already has shown that she had trouble getting out of the gate, and maybe one of those horses that was well-intentioned first time out and maybe won't be as cranked up coming into this spot.
So Rob Atras is 8 for 32 for what it's worth off of maiden wins and dirt sprints with a $1.86 ROI, which are admirable numbers. But with second time stars, he's just 1 for 8 with a $1.06 ROI. 4 hit the board, but 4 of them were short prices. So there is some sort of history of them not necessarily running back to those numbers. And I think this horse might actually have to improve a little bit, or at least run that race to get it done, because there are dangerous horses. Horses like Controlled Temper in here that goes out off the claim for Joe Sharp, shipping up here for Epona off the claim, and they claim this horse down at Fairgrounds. I mean, this horse is consistently running numbers that make him, in some ways, or her, excuse me, the horse to beat.
Absolutely. Those last 2 starts are just a little bit better than what Snappin' Buttons was able to do first time out, and running against horses last time that were winners as well, now switching to a very capable outfit. You have to imagine that they're going to spot this horse in a realistic type of situation where she could be effective in here, and I like that she's drawn towards the outside as a horse that can be forward but doesn't necessarily need to be on the lead as well.
You know, I was surprised. Joe Sharp's numbers off the claim with Dirt Sprinters not that good. Just 12 for 70, a $1.35 ROI. But I mean, from a handicapping standpoint, to ignore this horse as a logical horse would be silly. Just like the horse that you have on top. And here, the number 2, Don't Listen. We'll look at the last race, and I also think there's a chance that Don't Listen is main speed in this race. There's an argument that she's kind of the horse to beat.
And I think that she's faster and she's drawn outside of her other rival that would try to be forward and grab the glory. I think she's just a faster horse than that. And I thought this was an impressive effort. I don't know that we're going to see a 70 buyer again, but at the same time, if we see something like this where she has things her own way on the front end and they are aggressive with her like they were last time, even her races before that, they were a little bit slower, but she was at least running well. And she did put things together last time for the number. So
Well, I see it a little differently. This is a horse coming off of a 5-month layoff, and she ran a 70 buyer as a 2-year-old near. So realistically, she could run a number in the mid to high 70s and win this race. So I don't see a reason based on just that race. The problem is how much better she ran last time out. That's what concerns me. Where did that race come from? She didn't take advantage of a speed track. She legitimately ran well. But her first 2 races are nowhere near as good as this. I don't care what figures you're looking at. They are significantly slower races. So who is the real Don't Listen?
Right.
I mean, Don't Listen comes to that race. I think Don't Listen's supposed to be the favorite in this race. She's the speed. She's got a 70 buyer 5 months ago. For a trainer, his horses don't have great numbers off of layoffs. They're not terrible. I mean, I think she's the horse to beat in this race. David has 7-2, but David's line suggests that, I don't know, he's got 5-2 and 7-2 and a couple of 4-1s. Anybody who bets Grab the Glory in this race, I think that should have their head examined. I don't think she has I mean, we don't have this horse in the top 4. I don't think she's even in a discussion in this race. I think she should be 10-1, frankly. Maybe people will be fooled by her big win, but her big win was against a terrible field last time. She's not getting the lead unless horses fail to get out of the gate. I mean, she just looks like literally feels to me like a 15-1 shot in this race. And I think Don't Listen's supposed to be is the horse to beat. I just have a little thing about Status Seeker. Obviously, her first figure is not going to win it. Having said that, that was in June. That was 10 months ago. So reasonable improvement gets this horse into the mid-60s, which potentially puts the horse as a player in this race.
And she can rate.
One first time at a decent enough price, gets Lasix, and I just feel like she's completely unexposed. Is it possible she's not good enough to win this race? It's more than possible. It's probably likely she's not good enough to win this race. But I think the reasonable improvement off that kind of layoff can make her contentious in this race, especially if you're concerned that Don't Listen isn't going to be able to improve or run back to that 70. So I have your horse second, who I agree with you is the horse to beat in this race, but I'm hoping Status Seeker is a little bit unexposed and can run better off the layoff. It's a little bit of hope, but horses off layoffs like this can improve.
Yeah, absolutely.
Race number 7, I have nothing against this horse, Smoking Hot Kitty. She's much the horse to beat in this race. I mean, did she get a perfect situation against a bad field? Yeah. But she also ran a number that's going to absolutely drown this field, so I'm not against her. I picked her second. But.
No, and she's a horse that's likely to be the speed yet again in this spot and get a similar type of trip, even though Graceful Rose can have some forward position. I think that she's just faster than her. And I feel as though this is a situation where you're looking at many of the horses in this race that are coming off of decent numbers and good efforts, but against pretty weak competition overall. And so
this was weak competition too, but she destroyed them.
Right, exactly.
I mean,
no, she is one of them. I think that's part of why we both have her second, because she faced a lot of nobodies last time.
I just didn't feel like picking the favorite in every race. Why do you like the same horse I do?
She finally gets back to a dry, hopefully, track after 3 starts on a wet one. She ran well to be third, 2 back on March 3rd. Races December 30th and December 8th do fit in this spot. And
well, she can't win off the race 2 back. You say she ran well. She did not run well. She ran terribly.
Okay.
I mean, she'll get drowned in this race if she runs her 59 buyer in that race, right? She's got to get back at least to the races she ran on dry tracks.
And even on the 28th, that was a day where the speed dominated. She was bumped at the break. She was far back early. And I just feel as though over her last couple of starts, things have really not gone her way. They could play out differently in here. And I also just kind of respect the company that she's kept over her last couple of races, more so than some of these horses that are stepping up from the claiming ranks.
Yeah, I'm clearly hoping that she's a horse that will perform better on a dry track. I mean, I don't think there's any other argument for her. If you think she can get back to those dry track races, she might in some ways be the second best horse in this race at a bit of a price, because I don't like horses like this one, Embraceable Gal, who's going to take some money because she has a big win last time out. And I imagine that Trevor will try to be aggressive with her again, and she'll be sitting outside of Smoking Hot Kitty. But this was an absolutely pitiful field that she beat in the start. And
Synonymous was third.
yeah, and I mean, Graceful Rose, I don't know. She was second by default last time out. Now, she did finish ahead of Iris Jackson, who came back to win here the other day. But Iris Jackson was with the track on Sunday, and all she had to beat in that race was a horse who was making a big drop that just ran like a $5,000 claimer in that race that didn't run a step.
Right.
So the reality was Iris Jackson won very much because she ran against an extraordinarily weak bunch. Now, I'm not saying there are any killers in here, but Smoking Hot Kitty is better. If Bella Principessa can run back to those dry track races, she's better as well. And I just think that that 70 Beyer last time, it's not the most reliable figure when you look at the rest of her career.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And I think that just the company that she's kept overall over her last couple of starts, it doesn't really quite compare to the kinds of horses that several others in this field have faced overall, especially some of the bigger prices. And even, I don't think things set up for her, but Annihilate's faced some better horses as of late as well.
Yeah, I just don't know where her races are that make her competitive, but.
Well, she's faced compromise too, but just based on who she's faced as of late, I mean, this is an easier field for her.
Okay. Race number 9, or 8, excuse me, race number 8. I did something I hate to do, which is go back to a horse that I made a big bet on last time at almost 20-1, and she ran a winning race. It was just when a point when you couldn't beat any horses that Jimmy Ryerson was running, and we can take a look at Jansen's last race. She runs back this race. I think she'll probably win here. She's supposed to be forward. I would just go to the lead with her. But, I mean, I missed my opportunity. I don't think she's going to be 9-2 in here. I think she's going to be closer to 5-2. I missed my chance to make money with her, but I couldn't find. I would have picked again. No, I couldn't find anybody I wanted to pick against her with.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, I don't see why I'm supposed to pick Malibu Margarita. I have a stat for Rudy dropping down with this horse, and she's just going to be bet off the drop down. Rudy's drop down numbers, as you'll see with the stat, are lousy, and I don't know. I think she runs this race back. I think she's going to win here, but I missed the boat with her, and today she's going to be a mere fraction of the price last time. But I don't. I mean, I picked this horse second because I just don't like anybody else. Mm-hmm. What did I miss with Alpha Sunny?
Probably nothing, but it's the second last time at a big price behind Dolly's Bank. That was an aberrational number, but you can make some excuses for the prior efforts because this was a horse that was running on February 3rd with a day where the rail was good. He was wide over that muddy sealed track, part of a 4-way pace scramble as well. He was wide versus a good rail 3-back on January 18th. So I have that excuse for the 2 slowest efforts at least. Is he one that's going to be a little bit more forward in here? I think so. Is he as good as his last race? I don't know. But at a bigger price, this time I wanted to at least give this horse another opportunity versus one that I agree with you. Last time was the time for that horse, but he ran very well to finish second in a very much so merry-go-round race behind in a minute and projects to have that same kind of forward position again in here.
Okay. I thought Savage Spirit is one that's going to take some money in here, and based on the recent races is fine. I don't really like the horses that Savage Spirit was running against in this race, but it is a good barn, and he's been somewhat consistent. I tried to beat him, though, with the 2 and 3 as better horses. I don't love this horse's form overall.
I just didn't like his last race. Shouldn't he have won?
Yeah, I think he should have won the last race. I don't disagree. I suppose that he could win here, but I agree. I feel like he should have won his last start. He had every chance to go by and just couldn't get by.
Yeah, I agree. And that was the first time going the mile as well, or on a regular scheduled dirt race, switching over to the DePaz barn. And I was just left a little bit cold by that performance, even though he ran okay, but I think he's going to have to run better to be successful
I agree. I think he should have won that race. And that's why I picked him 4th. All right, well, if there are long shots winning today, Sarah, I'm not going to have them because I didn't come up with any. I looked through, and originally I had picked, I think, 7 favorites on top, and I changed the one in the 7th race because I just didn't want to pick another favorite. It's just, well, it's not. No, it's not. I think that there's a giant mistake that people make in handicapping when they force opinions. I think that if you think that the horses that are favored, if you cannot make a case to bet your own money against them, and I feel very strongly about that, then I'm not going to pick against them. If I'm willing to bet my money on somebody else, I can pick against them. But there was just nobody here that were prices that I was particularly interested in betting on, and I'm not going to throw them out and expect you to bet on them unless I am willing to lose my own money on them. Anyway, Naira bets. We'll see what happens as we move on. We're getting closer to turf racing, as you said. A week from Saturday, those tarps are off. It just looks so much nicer with the tarps off, doesn't it?
No, it feels like
green
spring.
Grass. I know.
A little color
a little
to the
warmer.
aqueduct teal.
Yeah, nice days out.
It's very warm in here.
Last couple. Yes. Well, Kyle likes it tropical in here. He's big on a tropical setting. You want to get some palms in here? Do you think,
a little palm
Kyle?
frond.
You could dress the place up if you like.
Maybe a flamingo.
I don't recall Kyle wearing the Knick hat when the Knicks kind of sucked the last few years. I feel like you got the Knick hat when the Knicks started doing better. Am I wrong about this, Kyle? I think I am. I think you're like Naja, who adopts the hat and the coat of whatever team is doing well locally. Like if the Nets are good next year and the Knicks are bad, are you going to be wearing a Nets hat, do you think?
He's like,
No
no
Brooklyn hat?
way.
There it is, bonus 200. We'll match it to $200 off your initial. I don't know why I'm picking on Kyle. I just can't
You
help
have to
myself.
pick on somebody, don't you?
Yeah, well, it's only because I like Kyle. Kyle, of course, who works with us. Kyle was close to being the neighbor of where my mom lives in Saratoga, and I
really?
actually didn't know that. It was a few summers ago.
Wow.
And I was sitting out on a dark day on my mom's porch, and I could hear his voice. He's got a very distinctive voice from about 2 blocks away walking
Do you
down
feel
the
like you were
street.
hallucinating?
No, I knew that Kyle was somewhere in the vicinity, actually. So head on over to Naira Bets, use the promo code bonus200. We'll match the $200 of your initial deposit. Check out the track stats while you're over at Naira Bets as well. Also, while you're there, opt in, bet $100 or more at Keeneland and Aqueduct today, and we'll give you $20 win or lose on top of your money. And looks like IRAD, doesn't it? Is that it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And we're on from 1 to 5:30 today, covering all the action from Aqueduct, races 1 through 8. We're done. Chris Griffin, he's just revving up upstairs with a reprise, the scratch and changes. Have a great day. We're going to get out of here before we start sweating anymore.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.